Hey everybody, welcome to our session today. Yeah, today we're going to chat about three things. One is the new revenue statistics that we just launched a few days ago out of beta. And then I have Zach with me today. For those of you who were in the first webinar last month, you already met Zach. So Zach is going to tell us about how to build rules and use them to automate responses to your tickets, automatically classify questions. And third, we'll talk about the new macro page in settings that we just launched a few days ago. So basically what's going to happen there is that you have one page where you can like edit your macros and make a bunch of edits there. So yeah, that's the plan for today. And then we'll talk about a few more things. Yeah, any questions that you might have on the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to basically just throw them on the chat, and then we can discuss there. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Let us know if you have any questions about it. So first, I'm going to start with the revenue statistics. So I'm just going to pull up the page here. Yep. So you guys should be able to see my screen here. So that's basically a demo account. So there is not a whole lot of data here. But something I wanted to explain here is that these statistics basically allow you to track the revenue that's generated by your support team. So basically, if you have, say, 100 tickets, which are conversations with customers, what we're going to do is track the number of tickets that led to a sale within 7 days. And so basically, if somebody, if the customer buys after a conversation, so for example, somebody is browsing your website and then they realize that they need some help, so they talk to support helps them, and then they purchase. So you'll see the converted tickets here, and then you have the total amount of sales from support on the right. And so basically the value of this is that we've done some research with the team, and we've noticed that about 40% of the tickets are pre-sale questions. So what we want to do with these is to give the credit to support for these pre-sale questions that can lead to basically sales from customers. So yeah, they're currently working only for the new accounts. They should be launching for all the accounts in the next 2 weeks. So if you have any questions about this, let us know. We'd love to get your feedback. I've seen that a bunch of teams at I think Decathlon has been using them. So yeah, would love to hear how you guys are using them, and if it's helpful to you guys. So that's that for the revenue stats. So without further ado, let's talk about the rules with Zach.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to share my screen here. So over the past few months, tied to the COVID-19 crisis, we've seen total tickets more than double. We know that unexpected volume increases can take a huge toll on your customer support teams, and that's why we're hosting an automation seminar to help you manage the rise of tickets. So I'm going to walk you guys through how to create a rule and create an example rule, or two example rules actually, one to classify tickets, one to auto respond to where's my order requests. The reason why I selected that is nearly 30% of all tickets are order status tickets from our research. So we always suggest setting up an order status automation as a way to have a high impact on your automation process. So the way to set up a rule is, for those who don't know, you select this create a new rule here. What you'll do is provide a name. So for this first rule, we're going to call it auto classification. And we'll set up that rule right there. Now, the way that rules work is using if-then statements. So saying, if this is true, then do this. If this other thing is true, then do this other thing. The idea being that you'll branch the logic so that customer support, so that you can essentially tailor your responses given dynamic variables, so things that change. So the first rule we're going to create is this auto classification rule. So what we'll first create is what we call an if statement. So we're going to first then look at who sent the message. So that'll be if message from agent is false, because we only want to classify tickets that have it. We only want to classify responses that come from an agent, come from a customer rather. So then we'll say, so if it is from a customer, then what we'll say is if the message, and you'll click down here and look for intents, name contains all of, and you'll type in shipping status. So for those who don't know what intents are, our ML team built now can essentially tell customers. So once we've added this right here, we can say if the message intent is shipping status, then add tags here. So what you can do is create a tag that will specifically say, this is X ticket. This is a shipping status ticket. So we'll use this tag right here, shipping status. So we always suggest auto-classifying tickets first. It's a good way to keep your ticket organized and have a good idea of what kind of tickets your account's receiving. You can look at it then in statistics by selecting here and look at your tags and see what percentage of your tickets are being tagged as shipping status, what percent of your tickets are being added as exchange requests. There's a bunch of different intents, and it's kind of up to you as you guys move forward and take a look at your tickets and decide what you want to start tagging and what rules you want to set up to figure out which ones are important for you to track. So the next rule we're going to create is the auto reply. So for auto reply tickets, I always name them auto reply and then whatever the actual auto reply is. So this is, where is my order? So now what we're going to say is if the ticket, if the message, or sorry, if the ticket tags, sorry.
Yeah, and just to elaborate, so I see that there is a question from Tom on the chat who was asking, yeah, what is a ticket and what is a message? So a ticket is a conversation with the customer across any channel. So it can be a chat, email, social, like Messenger, Facebook, etc. And then a ticket can contain multiple messages as well. So yeah, that's basically how we approach it. And I've launched a poll to see like who has used the rules so far to automate support, and we've seen that I think about 15% of users in Gorgias, which means about like 300 companies, have been using the rules to automate support. So I'm guessing like some of this is new to some of you. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to just throw them in the chat or in the question tab. Like we're more than happy to respond. And we also know that the rules are a bit tricky to use and pretty complex. And so we're doing some work to make them easier to use. So we'd love to get your feedback also on that and see how we can make them better.
Absolutely, yes. Please do not hesitate to ask any questions. If there's specific things you want to know, specific questions you have about rules, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, we have a question from Matt who's asking how accurate are the intents?
So yeah, obviously no system is perfect, like you said, but typically for the most popular intents, which are going to be things like shipping status, return requests, order change, order cancel, they're around 85% accurate is what our team has assessed. Something I was going to cover later, but it might be good to bring up now, is that there are ways to increase the accuracy of your auto classification rule by adding additional variables. So whereas you can, so what I typically suggest customers do is basically when the auto classification rules on, having your customer support agents kind of QA it. So if they see a ticket that has been incorrectly tagged, telling them to apply a specific tag, something like misfire. Then what you can do is go into you can create a view or just search in an existing view and look to see what's causing these. You know, taking a look at the ticket and determining basically what's the difference, like what is the universal similarity that's causing these tickets. A lot of times it'll be something in the message body. For example, like the word order, or maybe somebody saying like, I ordered, this thing and asked for a refund. I want to know the status of that refund. So that's actually a refund status rather than order status. So you can add in variables to say if the message body does not contain refund or exchange. And those are good ways to improve it on your end. Additionally, you can also increase the accuracy by going to your macros. If you have common macros you use for things like order status, you can actually apply an intent to a macro. So I can actually quickly show you what that looks like.
Yeah, and in the meantime, just to respond to the question with numbers, so I think for accounts like Steve Madden, for example, we've managed to get to something like 90 to 95% accuracy by refining the rules, as Zach was saying.
Exactly. So yeah, if you look right here in your macro settings and you select your specific macro, you can see there's an intent button right here. And so essentially, once you apply an intent to that macro, the algorithm that works on your page specifically will take that into account and become more and more intelligent by seeing when you apply this macro. Great. So yeah, are there any other questions before I keep going on rules?
There's some feedback from Austin and Grace around creating a ticket without sending a message to the customer, and Grace saying that they have a workaround for this. It's like you're from Pantry, if I recognize the logo. So yeah, like there's a workaround for this. So right now we don't allow this, but that's a really good point. That's something that we should definitely look into. So thanks for the feedback. We'll relay that to the roadmap.
Absolutely. That's something we've definitely looked into. So when creating a where's my order rule, something that's very important is to first make sure that your customer's information is there, because you're going to want to respond with a custom message based on the status of their order, whether or not they have a tracking number. And so the first thing I typically look at is how many when was the last order on this account placed. So what you can do, it's a little tricky, but I'll walk you through where the Shopify information is. So you go to ticket, customer, integrations, Shopify, and then you look at order count. And if you say order count is greater than 0 and taking customer integrations. And just to clarify, I have I've actually built out a document that I'm going to post on our help docs, which I'll forward you guys which I'll forward you guys via email. That will show you where some really common variables are being held. It'll basically walk through, you click here, then you click here, then you click here, you click ticket, customer integrations. And it will make it, I think, a little easier for you guys to start getting into creating your own rules when you have somewhere to reference. All right, so ticket, customer, and then you would say last order created at less than, let's say, 30 days ago. And the reason why I create a less than 30 days ago is most likely a customer is not asking about their order status from something they ordered over a month ago. So basically what we're doing right here is we're saying, okay, do we have information on this order they're asking about? If we do, then what we're going to look at is the customer's, we're going to look at the shipment status of the order. So something that's really important is to know where to find shipment status, because that one's hidden as well. So what you have to do is go ticket, customer integrations, Shopify, last order, last fulfillment, and shipment status. As you can see here, there's a bunch of different options. So these are all pulled from Shopify. So you can say if it's been delivered, then what we can do is reply to ticket. And within these, within these replies, you could include Shopify variables, so tracking number, tracking URL, date of last order, number of last order. This is just an example, so it's not going to be super clean, but I'll say, hi, ticket customer first name, your order has been delivered to, and we can say the shipping address on the date. And then this is a really important thing I always suggest, is creating a specific tag within that it'll apply every time it auto replies. So you could say one tag that'll say auto reply, therefore you can track all of your tickets that you've auto replied, and then the specific indicator of where in the rule this, or whether, like, so you could say auto reply order status, order status delivered. And that'll let you pull more comprehensive data on your auto replies, see how well they're firing, and figure out what you need to do to improve the rule. So Julia asked, when looking for tickets containing specific words, is it possible to include tags in the ticket view? Yeah, what do you mean? Let's see, what do you use for tag? Sorry, Julia, can you explain a little more? In the meantime, I'll answer. Let's see.
I think the idea is to say, hey, can we have a view that says if the tickets contain the word shipping, then put it in the view.
Yes, absolutely. So when you create your own view, what you can essentially do is use these same variables that we saw, or some of the variables that we saw in the same thing. So you can click filter.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be the message body though. So you cannot do the view directly with a keyword. That being said, we're gonna add the intents. So the intents detects automatically what the ticket is about. So you could do intent is shipping.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. So Julia, what you could do then is set up a rule to auto tag with that set of specific words that would essentially say, if the message body has this contains these words, apply this tag. And then you could create, then now every ticket that had that has that set of specific words, what you can do is view that in a rule. So with where's my order, you would essentially do the same thing with in transit, in transit, confirmed, all the various stages of delivery. And then what you would also do, so let's pretend that this section right here was still looking at whether or not the, let's see, we plan to would love those replies to pop up in chats. Plan to launch June. I would love for those replies to pop up in chats. Yeah, so I appreciate the feedback, Melissa. I think that's something we're going to look into, which it seems like Romain has answered. Okay, yeah. Great.
And just a quick one on that. So yeah, the rules are a way to do it, but it's a bit of a pain. So we want to put having the intents directly in the views will make it easier. So you just select your customers asking about a return. We see the returns in this view. Customers asking about shipping. Let's click shipping. So we want to make that easier. We know it's painful to create a rule. So yeah, that's in the works.
Exactly. Okay, great. So the last thing I want to go over is the use case where a customer doesn't have an order in the last 30 days. So what you would set then, if you select if you select let me go back. Yeah, so if you select the if, you can also add an else statement. So essentially, if whatever you put in this rule right here, so let's say this says ticket, customer, or sorry, message, ticket customer integrations, Shopify, customer orders count is greater than 0. So essentially, if this is not true, So if the customer's has 0 orders, what we can do is then add an else statement, which will then fire in a case where that information is not available. So in this case, where a customer is asking about an order that we don't have information for, we can then reply to the ticket. Hi, ticket customer. Can you send me? I don't seem to have information on that order. And send me the order number and date of purchase for the order you're asking about.
Yeah, there's Amanda who's asking if it works with Magento. Yes, it works with Magento. The Magento variables are available in the rules.
Exactly. So in this customer integrations, we have Magento, Recharge, and Smile. So under Magento, we have a similar thing, customer, last order. And then within that, we have discounts, grand totals, last shipment, and last track. So yeah, exactly. So we'll go through, so yeah, that's the broad strokes of how to create a Where's My Order. If you have any specific questions about, what are best practices for setting rules, what are some use cases that we find particularly useful, please let me know, and we can go over kind of more specific questions. But I wanted to just give you an idea of how we approach the kind of most common questions. So yeah, so most useful rules. Some rules that we find particularly useful are, like I said, order status. For return requests, we can't generate a return, but we'll set up rules that will query the user for all the information you'll need. And that's really important. So that way, when your customer support agent gets to the ticket, they don't have to send, I need this, that, or the other, or why did you return the order? You can get all that information before, so it's a one type for the user, and they don't have to go back and forth. For those of us just getting started with the rules, can you create a 101 to top 10 rules? So Tiffany, we're actually looking into creating a rule library. That's something that's on the docket for Q2. And that's something that's something we're really pushing for. So creating a library of the most common rules, and maybe even be able to automatically import those rules to your account, so you don't have to set them up yourself. That's something we're really, really looking towards. If you guys have any other questions about rules or automation.
Yeah, I think there's some homework for you, Zach, from it was Alexa Vartelis, who was asking, we operate in a different currency and we are hoping to add VIP status to those spending more than 100 USD. Is there a way to create a rule that auto-tags differently based on currency exchange rates? So maybe Alexa, help us a little bit about that on the chat. So yeah, I see the rule library is popular, like 4 people just bumped it up, thanks. So when you look at a customer in Shopify, there is a field called total spent. What is the currency that you see in the total spent? It should be the store currency, so I'm guessing it should be USD. Say you're based in the US. Will be monstrous. Automatic rule download. Yeah. That's cool to hear. That's really motivating. So Alexa said we have 11 different stores in Shopify. Okay, so basically what's going to happen is that the total spend field is going to be in the currency of the store. So if it's USD, you can do ticket customer integration, Shopify. Customer total spent is is more than 100 USD. And so in that case, it's going to triage this customer. Actually, Zach, could you show us how to add a tag to tickets from customers who've spent a given amount of money?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to, so let's say it's a Shopify store, what you can look at is if customer ticket customer integration Shopify customer, then you can look at total spent, and you can say greater than a certain amount, less than a certain amount, equal to a certain amount. So in this case, let's say greater than $1,000. Then what you can do is add tags and say VIP customer. Now, anytime you receive a message from a customer who has spent more than 1,000 of whatever currency is designated in your Shopify store, it will add a tag VIP customer, and that'll always be available.
Nice. All right, so that should answer to the question that.
Alexa, the use case for this is sometimes customer support agents will interact, maybe not differently, but they have certain protocols that are different for VIP customers compared to people who is their first order. And so, or for example, what you could also set it to is if their total spend is yeah, exactly. So you want to make sure you're giving your customers the VIP customers the quickest care, and it'll also let you know whether or not a customer might be at first times. Could also incentivize you to provide discounts or something else to get new customers. Yeah, and just to support what Tom's saying, totally. So what you can also do is create a view, and that way, anytime a VIP customer reaches out, if you have a view that's looking for that tag, those tickets will always be viewable within the it will always be viewable in that view. So you can then have your customer support agents know to prioritize that view above a general view.
Yeah, we have some questions from Melissa, who's asking if we can expand the time window in the stats over 90 days. Right now it's limited to 90 days. So the reason we initially limited it to 90 days was for faster performance, but we've made a good amount of improvements to the performance of the stats recently. So yeah, I think that's something that we may be able to do now. So we'll look into like what would be the impact if we could do half a year, or if we could do a longer period of time.
Exactly.
Cool. It's getting challenging to keep up with the chat. All right, so are we good with the rules, Zach?
Yeah, we're good with the rules. I'll answer specific questions in the questions box, kind of as you go through on the next piece.
Gotcha. All right.
All right.
So, yeah, let's do it. So some people were asking if there is a cheat sheet for the rules. So in the docs, there is a bunch of articles with videos around how to set up these rules, and we're also going to send the recording of this webinar afterwards. So yeah, that should be helpful there.
Absolutely. I'll add actually a little diagram that'll be, I think, helpful for you guys when you're trying to find specific variables.
Nice. All right, so there was one question around how do we search macros. So basically, you can scroll for macros here, but you can also search them. So like if I do reactivate, you see it searches the macros here. Something that has been really interesting as well, and the machine learning team has been working on this, is that the way the macros are ordered right now is based on the relevance to the message from the customer. And so we've been going, I think before we had about like 30% click on the first one, and we bumped this up to 40% last week with the new algorithm that we released. So basically, the macros that are suggested to your team should be getting more accurate. All right, so let's talk about the last part, which is Tiffany saying about searching the macros in the mobile app. I think we don't have a feature for that. That's a really good point. So yeah, thanks for the feedback. We'll add that to the wish list and prioritize. So yeah, so one of the top requests we had, I can actually show you. Like this is these are the top requests we are getting here from you guys. So basically, every time you guys ask for something, we prioritize based on we put this in our prioritization tool, and then we look at what is the top things, what are the top things here. And so I think macros were pretty high on the list. They got moved out because they're being launched, but they were in the top 10. So we're introducing a page where you can manage your macros in settings. So you can simply go to settings, and then you have the list of macros here that appears. So you can see the usage, you can duplicate a macro, you can delete a macro, you can search them. So that's where we stand so far. Like some improvements that we could do here would be to allow to export the entire list of macros if you want to analyze them spreadsheet. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So yeah, this page has been released, and so you can make edits to your macros directly from here. Which permission does not allow to edit macros? So we have that in the docs here. So if you go into managing users, you have the permissions here. And so basically, if you want to edit macros, you need to be a lead agent. Zoom in a couple of times. So you need to be a lead agent or an admin. That should answer your question, Giuseppe. So yeah, that's what we wanted to show you. That's pretty much what's new this month. And then there is a bunch of upcoming things coming up. So yeah, there's been a lot of GL integrations deactivated. So you guys might have had this problem. So we've been working on this last week, and we should ship a fix for this in the coming days. Instagram direct messages, we're still working on Instagram to release the API. Help Center, that's going to be, we're going to do some research this quarter. View sharing is coming this quarter as well, undo this quarter. Tickets created per hour per day as well, coming by the end of June. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of improvements on this side. We're also going to make improvements to the search. So yeah, let's spend some time on any questions that you guys might have. So let's see. Oh yeah, there was somebody asking about statistics. I think it was Amy who was saying that there were things to. She was having a hard time with the reporting. So yeah, if you have any feedback on this, that'd be helpful to get your perspective. I don't know if you want to. Something we can do also is get you to join the stage. So. We could actually do that if you are keen. Let's see. Yeah, I can't find your message, but yeah, if you have any feedback on the stats and how to make them better, like please drop that in the chat, and then we can talk about this. So far, like the stats are like high level, and we've worked on making them faster. But yeah, there's probably a lot of improvements we need to do there. Can you tag a ticket with the IP location of the user? Not yet, but that is something that we are going to add with the new version of the chat that's coming in the next 2 months. So, so yeah, so not yet, but soon. Yeah, there's been another question from Robert about creating a ticket without sending a message to the customer. So you're the third person to ask in this webinar, so that's great to hear that it's something that is important to you guys. So it's not going to come this quarter because the planning is already done, but that's definitely something we can look into for the Q3, which would be so in the next 4 months. Yeah, this will help direct the tickets to the relevant teams, UK, US, Germany, etc. One way you can do this is if the customer has a Shopify profile, you can use the rules like Zach was showing you earlier, and you can say, if the country is UK, then route to this person. If the country is US, then route to this other person or other team in order to triage your tickets. All right.
Vishal, if you have different Shopify stores for different locations, what you can do is also tag tickets by their integration. Some companies have, a UK store or a US store with its own site. So that's another way that you can classify tickets based on what channel it's coming through.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's it. Let us know if you have additional questions. Specific to reporting, so Amy is elaborating on what would be helpful. I am looking to explore our top issues from the week, month. Can you show the best way to do that? Sure. So the way you can go about this is to look at the tags here and see like what are the most common issues. So in this case, we can see that order status is pretty common. And then what you would do is go on the view that has these tickets. So we would do tags contain order status, and then we take all of the tickets and we just do the ones, let's say, that have been created in the last 90 days. And then you select everything and click export tickets. And that's going to send you an email with the CSV with all of these tickets. So that's one of the ways you can export the tickets and then run an analysis. Nice. Yeah, and Amy, let me know if you have additional feedback on the stats, because that's also something that we want to improve. How about CSAT for other channels than email and chat? Juzam's asking. So yeah, other channels would be Messenger. So on Messenger, Facebook is considering releasing the ability to rate the conversation. So we need them to do it in order for us to do it. On the chat right now, it's pretty basic. So it sends an email after the chat has ended, but we're gonna add like the ability to for the customer to directly like grade the conversation from 1 to 5. And Fernanda is asking, if the customer is asking for the price, I need to make a macro for each one of my products, or is there a way to make one macro and automatically insert the name of the product? So the thing is, how do you know what is the product that the customer is asking about? Would you like to have like some sort of drop down that would say they are asking about product A or product B? Yeah, we could add. So right now there's no way to do that. So you need to have one macro for each product. But if that's a frequent use case, that's something we could definitely look into. All right. Oh, we have new questions. Probably a speed parameter, but is there a way that the process? So yeah, there is a question from Melissa. Is there a way to that the process of auto tagging a large number of tickets can be faster? Can you elaborate on what you mean by auto tagging? Do you mean like tagging tickets from the past? So if you mean tagging tickets from the past, we cannot replay the rules yet. That's also something we can look into. If what you mean is getting the rules to automatically tag tickets, so it's done instantly. So as soon as you set up the rule, then it's going to tag the upcoming tickets. Yeah, Melissa's asking about automatically tagging social tickets without a rule. So that will be the intents that we add in the that we are about to add in the views. So for example, you could say, I want to see all of the tickets that were created in the last 90 days that come from Instagram comments, and then there's going to be this intent parameter where you can say intent was purchase intent, or it was a return intent, etc., etc. You want to take a few questions, Dak? We're only hearing my voice, so that'd be great to have you on the stage a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, I've been responding over message. Yeah, let's see. So Tiffany asked about viewing recharge order info, or selecting the recharge button and it not taking you to the customer information immediately. That's something we can definitely look into. It's an interesting point, something I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, I've heard about it a couple of times, and I think there was an issue with recharge at first, but since then they fixed it, so I thought it was fixed. So yeah, Tiffany, if you can send me, I'm just gonna leave my email address in the chat. Just send me an example of a link to a ticket that doesn't work, and then I'll take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. And Melissa, you asked about auto tagging large volumes of tickets. So right now, the way that our rules work is is on a ticket by ticket basis. So as they come in, you can't right now retroactively tag tickets with rules. But what you can do if the rules are have variables that are available in views, you can create a view with that specific whatever you're looking for. So let's say it's tickets that were sent 2 days ago that had this tag. Then you can go on that. You can go into that rule, select that little gray box that you see under the update view button in returns on the screen right now, and then select add tag, which is grayed out right now, but it's to the right of the button. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons to the right of that little gray box, and you'll be able to essentially and you'll be able to apply a tag to a large number of tickets.
Nice. All right. I think we're getting to the end of it. Jason's asking, how is the chat upgrade coming along from previous webinar update? Yes, so still being worked on. So one of the challenges we've had over the last few days was, I can actually show you this. So that's the volume of tickets we had on Gorgias, so about like 500,000 a week, and it went up to about 1 million a week. So we've been a bit focusing on performance instead to make sure that everything was stable and fast, even though the traffic was getting so high. But now we are like back on this. So yeah, still planning for having this at the end of the quarter. We'll let you know as soon as we have more updates. And as we're talking about the previous webinar, something I wanted to show you as well is the Shopify actions that we spoke about. So I think we did the webinar months ago, so roughly here. And so since then, the usage of Shopify actions in the sidebar has doubled. I know some people are on Magento on this webinar, so that's also something we're going to add. But yeah, really good to see that it's useful. So feel free to give us any feedback on how we could make them better, or if we should have more actions. So far, the one that's the most popular is refund, followed by cancel and duplicate order. Create order is slowly starting to be used. So this allows you to create a draft order for a customer when you're chatting with them. So yeah, feel free to give us feedback on how we can get better. Giuseppe is saying creating a return label would be convenient. I was on the phone with Shopify this morning. It's something that they're going to build an API for it. I think in the next 6 months. So as soon as they do that, that's something we can look into as well. And thanks, Matthew, for telling us that, yeah, you like these webinars. That's awesome. Yeah, sorry, we were a bit, yeah, like the chat was a bit quiet at the beginning. We had some technical issues to fix, but now it seems things are much better. So yeah, we'll definitely keep doing these webinars every month. So after this webinar, actually, we'll send the link to the next one. And we'll also post it on the Facebook community where you can also like chat and connect. And yeah, I think that's it for today. All right, thank you so much for joining. New Gorgias sales website, US is really nice. Thanks. Yeah, we're gonna use some of this UI to also in the help desk, so you can expect a refresh there as well. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate all the notes in the chat. Awesome. All right, have a good one.
All right, bye, everyone.